Now, I would like to invite on the stage our first moderator, that is Miss Josipa Jutt Ferlan. Josipa is CEO of Zagreb City Hotels and Cluster Manager at Hilton Hotel in Zagreb. She will moderate our first session about hotel operations.
Hello, Andrea. Good morning, everyone, dear colleagues. I miss you. I miss this interaction. I have to tell you, I miss your eye contact. However, we are here, and this is really a revolution for all of us, I think, in hospitality. So I wish you a warm welcome to first online HOW Festival and our first online panel. I'm going to replace Marina today, what is not easy. It's really challenging because, you know, Marina is just a brand name for HOW Festival. So I will do my best to make this panel interesting. And I'm sure that my colleagues will help me with this, my panelists today. Let me introduce you Olof Karlsson, Regional Director for Poland, Southeast Europe for Radisson Hotel Group.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome, Olof.
Thank you very much, Josipa. Thank you very much.
And our next colleague is Srdjan Mileković, Senior Vice President Operations, Hyatt for EMEA region. Please join us, Srdjan.
I'm trying. Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you and nice to meet you, all of you online.
Thank you.
So how are you, first of all?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
I'm used to work out of my home now for more than 2 months. Our office has been closed here in Zurich, in Switzerland.
Okay.
And I've spent more time at home in the last 2 months than in the last 5 years together. So it was
that's challenging.
Wonderful change in many ways.
Wonderful. All right. Nice to see that. That is wonderful change. How are you, Olof?
I'm all fine. I'm all fine. Thanks for asking. I'm in the same situation as Srdjan. No travels and becoming a family part of the family again, so to say.
Yes. And tell me, maybe let's start from Olof, from you. How is the company spirit?
It's good.
It's good?
Yeah, it's good.
You adjusted to the new normal situation. How was everything? Give us a short feedback on.
No, I mean, let's face it. It's an unprecedented situation that we're facing. Everybody, and it's global. But in the end of the day, we just need to take this challenge on board, and I think we've done it very well. And certain challenges also gives opportunities, and you need to keep very positive with this. Yeah.
Yes.
And you need to adhere to certain things you can't get out of, and I think you need to be very diligent and adapt to the situation.
Yes, I agree. And how is it you, Srdjan, with your company spirit?
Well, spirit is always strong, but the situation is, as Olof said, obviously challenging. I think this crisis brings different phases. Phase one was obviously dealing with establishment of the new protocols, finding out how to ensure safety of our colleagues and customers, and unfortunately closing many of our properties. We have more than 350 hotels not open for business worldwide. We have about 73 closed in the region, which is more than half. And now I would say we are in the second phase, and second phase is really thinking about how do we manage to deliver hospitality? How do we still look after our customers and slowly starting to reopen some of the operations in some of the hotels in Austria, in Germany, looking here in Switzerland, and really looking forward. I also have to say we as the company took very, very quickly steps to adjust ourselves to the new situation. And unfortunately, we are just in the process of terminating more than 40% of our global corporate workforce, which obviously is based on the belief that recovery will not be quick and will not be sharp. So we had to take some really difficult steps, ensuring that we are financially viable for our shareholders and also for our hotel owners in the months to come. So difficult times, but times that make us better and really push us to look into everything we do with a lot of scrutiny and find out what brings value and what maybe needs to be rethought.
Yes, yes, it's not easy, I'm sure. Olof, how is with you? First impact reactions, and now you are probably also in a second or third phase, preparing for the third phase, I suppose?
Yeah, the thing is as well, we've closed the majority of the hotels, as I think everybody. We are now looking at what we would see. We see the light in the tunnel coming, that we have the opportunity to open hotels, but this is also based on very much on local and governmental restrictions. I mean, we're all hospitality people. We deal with passion and emotions as well, but I think here we need to take a step back and look at from a commercial point of view. We owe it to our stakeholders. And again, we have implemented quite a lot of new safety and security protocols which are being implemented. To be able to do this, we have also taken part on joint forces with different experts, SGS for validation. We're working with the Diversi and Pathcon laboratories just to ensure that when we open in a very safe and secure manner, so to say, with enhanced protocol, new standards, new operations. Yeah, I think it's also down to the customers and guests' perceptions. What will they ask for? What are we wanting to be able to offer? We need to be very flexible here. We talk about social distance, but I think it's not very social distance. I think it's more physical distance that we've been facing. I mean, I'm never off this virtual world for the moment, and I think this is going to be a part of what's going to happen in the future as well.
Yes, I agree. I also, the other day, I just mentioned the other day, no, it's not social distance. Let's not make social distance otherwise, because we are just social, humans are social beings, so we have to be social. It doesn't matter online or offline, but we miss that interaction, of course. Yes, it's not easy. So what do you expect first openings? In June, maybe, in certain countries?
Sorry. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, we have certain hotels that are closed and certain hotels that are still in operations in certain destinations. We are looking at hotels opening in end of May, beginning of June, but then also we're looking at further scope pending on destination. I believe that for Poland, resorts will be the ones that will be benefiting. I think the perception of guests with reaching the fresh air, being outside, will be easier than having a city center location. And I think this is also very, very important. But I see this coming staggered, and from a commercial point of view, it has to be looked at on an individual basis.
Okay, depending. And how is with you, Srdjan? When do you think that you will open, or certain hotels maybe are open?
We are starting to reopen slowly.
Okay.
Yes, in every single case, this needs to be evaluated. Our view is that if opening will make cash flow better, even if it's still creating losses, but it's losing less than when hotel is closed, then we will obviously reopen commercially. And clearly it depends on what the government regulations are. We can see that countries into closure are slowly coming into reopening. As I mentioned, we reopened Park Hyatt Vienna, for example. We opened hotel in Cologne. We're looking into opening in Zurich. We're looking into opening in a couple of days Hamburg and Mainz. So Germany is slowly coming out of the crisis. And I'm sure everybody sees the same trend: completely and totally changed market sources. No international travel, no overseas travel. So now we are really, with our hotel teams, gearing up to look into all available sources of business, staycation, local corporate accounts. And that is where we think business will be coming from. We're also spending a lot of time talking to our customers and organizations that bring clients. Interesting trends in Germany. I spoke with people who are dealing with this in Germany a couple of days ago, and they tell me that every year in Germany, there are 12 million Germans who stay in the country for vacation. They expect this year that to go up to 24 million. With 12 million, typically, there are small hotels outside of countries are already full. So there will be some new dynamics. There will be new sources of business, but obviously many other properties will be in trouble. Spain, Italy is still not very clear, and frankly speaking, in the Middle East, there are hotels that we are not planning to open before September, simply because summer is already very, very low business.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, when you mentioned Germans as strong domestic market, there are certain countries in Europe which find it now very beneficial to have strong domestic market. Like we mentioned yesterday, Olof, during our rehearsal, Poland is also one of these countries, and that's lucky. I think the countries on Mediterranean coast are not really the ones who live from their own citizens, so that's more challenging, especially because we are now coming to the summer season, and in Croatia as well. You know that we have also summer season in front of us, and majority of our colleagues who are also in these audience today, they have lots of questions. How is going to be? No one, of course, is expecting to have a strong push from the markets, but I'm sure that to all of us, it's very important. Airplanes, airlift, air traffic, borders. How do you think that will be in your regions?
Well, sorry.
Yes, please, Olof. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I think, of course, the countries that are how can I say? If you take Poland, for example, travel and tourism is approximately 4.5 to 5% of GDP. But 30% of that part is actually domestic travel and tourism. So there is a strong base in Poland for internal and domestic travel. Borders need to be open for us to survive in all destinations. Now, the question is coming back to the consumer's confidence or guest confidence or whatever we would like to call it. It is who would jump on a plane today and fly to, this is the question. I think there's also going to be a very soft approach of getting back into the swing of travel. And what kind of restrictions is not only sitting on the plane, it's also how do airports handle the situation, standing in security lines, etc. I think there's a lot of doubts and non confirmation of how these operations will be affected. And I think also that when we're looking at we have a lot of meeting and events focused on business. It's not only hotel rooms we're selling food and beverage, we're selling meeting and events. And I think there's also going to be a lot of changes coming.
Yeah. And Srdjan, you mentioned Vienna, you mentioned Zurich, you mentioned all these actually mid-Western European cities, but they're also drive-in, right? There's not always depending on the flights. So how that will be?
Well, listen, when you mention countries, I also spoke with people from TUI the other day and talking about the customer behavior. And a lot depends on perceptions. If you talk about Spain, if you talk about Italy, if you talk about France to an extent, they were a lot in the media with cases, with COVID, with crisis. And this obviously, I think, presents a strong opportunity for countries like Croatia and Greece that were not mentioned as much with problems. And they're still drive-in countries. And we can see so far, I asked them specifically, we can see so far that these countries obviously have more interest. There is customer interest already. So from resorts point of view, I think whoever is in a driving distance from major source markets should be able to have a relatively decent summer. I think that the bigger problem is that we actually have a lot of unknowns. We have very little agreements in terms of what exactly is happening with virus transmission. How long does it live on certain surfaces? How does it really behave in warm and humid situation? Is summer going to reduce it? So-called second wave, will it come or not with certain restrictions? And if it doesn't, then I think you will see naturally people are a resilient race. There will be growth in business, and there will be growth in travel and stays with us. When it comes to city hotels, I'm not particularly optimistic, I must say. I think it will take time before we see events coming back in some numbers. We are building a hotel here in Zurich, and we built a conference center for 1,400 people. The maximum capacity we can have now is about 350. So that obviously changes the business model. And also we decided that we are not going to serve customers served buffets with food, which also increases the price of being able to serve customer, or at least it increases the cost, if not the price. So all of this will, I think, require a lot of hard work and a lot of calibration, what makes sense economically, in addition to being operationally acceptable. So I see more challenges for city and meeting hotels. There will be some business with staycation. We are looking into all of these opportunities. But I think recovery in that sense is going to be very gradual.
Yes, Olof, please.
No, I just said I agree. I agree that it's the same thought that I just said, that I think city center hotels with meeting events will struggle much more than the smaller boutique and resort hotels. This is going to be.
When you mentioned, Srdjan, let's continue with you. When you mentioned operations, how actually your Hyatt operations are preparing for the restart? Let's go through every aspect: front office, F&B, and housekeeping. Let us know how it will work.
Sure. Like everybody, I must say, and this, obviously we all do it in similar but different way. We established cooperation with Global Microbiological Council and Cleveland Clinic in the US. We also had very good work with the consulting company in London and people here in Zurich who really helped us adapt this to our region. We really try to make these measures safe but still implementable. And long discussions how effective is really a mask, long discussions how effective are gloves. Most of the experts told us stay away from gloves. I see people still like to wear gloves. They apparently bring false sense of security, and it's much better to wash your hands unless you're really dealing with obviously a sick person and an infected person. So we really try to do this in a way that is keeping our colleagues in the first place safe, and second, that obviously is keeping customers safe at the same time. So we will introduce plexi screens on all front office. We will introduce all physical distancing. We reduced everything that could increase the risk of infection. So wherever we can go, for example, checking that is on mobile key, really avoiding to have all these interactions, payment contactless, all this is implemented at the front desk. We will ask customers to wear masks when using transportation to prevent infecting others in case they are infected, reducing capacities in elevators and also asking people to wear masks. We also did something that I don't see many other companies doing. We separated in room cleaning and in the restaurant teams to clean and dirty. In other words, people who bring you food will never touch anything that has been on the customer table before. So there are people who are only bringing clean things to the table, and there are people who are only picking up glasses, operating equipment that has been touched by the customers. We introduced QR codes and no physical menus so that people can really download the menu to their mobile phone and order without touching anything like that. We took out all the compendium from the guest rooms. And as I said, we split the teams to clean and dirty. So people who are picking up used linen will never be the same who are bringing clean linen and towels. We were told, by the way, picking up used linen is one of the most risky moments in a hotel, because obviously linen was exposed to bodily fluids, and you can really lift things in the air. So a lot of measures. Room service, we will not deliver to the room. It's only knock and go, and we will ask customers to take things out. So I would say a lot of measures that improve social distancing, reduce risk, and at the same time provide our colleagues as well with certain safety. We were having, final point on this, as we open certain restaurants, for example, we have mixed reactions. There are people who say, why are people wearing masks? I don't like them wearing masks. And we have people who would like people to wear, our colleagues to wear 2 masks. And what we really developed is kind of a 3-day reorientation program. So before we open each hotel, we are essentially taking everybody through the measures, explaining what are we doing for them, their safety, and how do we intend to protect our colleagues and customers, and trying hard to develop very strong empathy among our colleagues to understand that people who have different view on how dangerous this really is are not just irrational or wrong, but they're entitled to have their view. So we really have to make sure we stick the line of measures we introduced, while still being hospitable and pleasant with our customers, and trying to have make sure exactly the time they have with us is good time. It's difficult to say memorable in times like this, but at least that it's pleasant.
Well, it's memorable as well, I'm sure.
Well,
one day when they will
right?
look at photos of the vacation with the waiter with wearing a mask, it's something, that is going to be like a new Darth Vader live situation. So
Yeah, but
I am thinking if Louis Vuitton already started to produce masks. I'm just waiting.
Well, you will need to smile with your eyes instead of your mouth.
Yes, of course. And Olof, how you will actually organize buffet tables during the conferences, which we heard there are not going to be any more so big conferences. So you have 500 participants meeting room, you will have to reduce it on 300 or something.
Yes.
So, and how you will actually serve the meals, coffee breaks and everything.
No, we implemented, first of all, we implemented the 20-step program for the hotel, and then we implemented a 10-step program for meeting and events, where it's all about usable, disposable items, pre-packed, individual portion control, so that it's going to not be what we've been used to before, so to say. And again, this comes also from region to region, country to country, what limitations we're allowed to use. And I think this is very important as well, that we maintain a certain brand standard, but we also need to create a little bit of a regional or a flexibility to it with a flair. And again, as Srdjan said, I mean, we're talking about so many different people entering hotels with different mindsets. And we need to cater for all. Some people feel very secure and want to go back to the old norm. Now, borders will open, they're back in business, they're back in swing, but a lot of people will not want to feel that they don't feel secure. They want to maybe eat alone. I mean, if we take it from a cultural point of view, how will our restaurants look like? Will people eat on 20 minutes and then go, or will people sit for 4 hours and enjoy the dinner as they did before? So I think we need to also be able to cater for this. And when it comes to meeting and events, it's going to be a very similar exercise. It's reduced physical distance, or enhanced, and it's going to be not shared. Buffets will not be shared with others. It's going to be very individually portioned.
Okay, so we will probably have someone from the kitchen standing behind maybe also the plexi shield and something like that to organize. Yes, that's very important also for our colleagues to hear, maybe for the ones who are still thinking how to organize it. Andrea, do we have some questions from audience? Maybe we can also share the questions from our participants and colleagues if they have any questions for our guests and panelists.
For now, we don't have any questions, but if someone has, feel free to write it down on the chat.
Yes, we have a few minutes still, so I would like us also to raise some questions. If you have, please feel free. If this is something good, it's good that you can write a question, not to raise your hands in front of everyone. So don't fear, don't be afraid. Just chat in a chat room, raise your question. And here in Zagreb, I must say we are a little bit positive because we heard as of next week, lots of airline companies will try to fly and land in Zagreb, which is a little bit more motivating than last week. I'm sure that you will agree that unfortunately our business is always depending on the humans, and if there is some threats around about humans and guests and clients, of course we will feel it. And if you remember when we had September 11th situation, that was one of the very, I think, crucial moments because as of then, lots of airline companies were bankrupt, and they also airports implemented new safety regulations. At that time, that was something completely new, so difficult. 3-4 hours you have to come before to the airport. But still today, we are traveling almost the same, not even noting that actually that is from the September 11 time. So do you think that somehow still people will get used to this new normal if it's continue longer than we expect? Because now it's we had SARS a couple of years ago. Maybe we didn't, we was not aware of it because it was somewhere, it was not here, and it was not all around the world. But you know, today we have COVID. Who knows what next will come? So what should we do? We have to find a way how to live with.
So there's no choice.
Yeah, there's no choice. I agree with you. So I think we always have to fight with these situations, and we have to be. First moment, of course, we were all frozen because what is going on? What kind of?
I think you're absolutely right. The issue is that this is a bit deeper than, say, September 11. September 11 indeed proves that humans are resilient, and if you need to travel, you will travel. But the changes were really on a few points of travel. This affects everything, and clearly people will continue to travel. But if you look forward, for example, if you have to reduce capacity of restaurants by 50%, I wonder how are any restaurants in Western Europe going to be viable? Because this is posing not just operational, but also behavioral and economical changes. The way I think about this, I think probably a word hybrid is sort of describing a lot of what is happening. What Olof was talking about, buffet is a kind of a hybrid between buffet and served, and event is a hybrid between takeout and being somewhere in. Even social distancing makes sort of a hybrid between some sort of new technology and old technology interaction. So I think we will need to be extremely fast in recognizing what is happening, adapting, changing. But again, the problem is not adapting and changing operationally. The issue is how do you make all this economically viable and profitable.
I also think it's a mindset. Let's face it, human beings are very comfortable creatures in the sense. Yeah, we want everything, we want it quickly, we want it seamlessly. If you go to the airport, you don't want to queue, you don't want, and I think it's just a mindset. We just need to change. Things will not go as fast as we are used to have it. We will need to do the 3-hour part of, add that to our normal journey time. before. I am one of those that were always coming last on the plane because I was always, I didn't want to spend time there. Yeah, it doesn't feel efficient.
Yeah.
Now I'm 100% sure my mindset needs to be changed completely. Yeah.
Well.
And it's not going to be only travel, but
there will be opportunities. When I talk about hybrid, we see we see some demand now for hybrid meetings. People want to have 7-8 people in one room and 7-8 people in another room, and sort of have semi-virtual discussion like we are having now, with some people sharing. So you will have to run after all these opportunities and provide things that customers will find.
And I have for the end, I have two questions. Will your quality audit teams will be now enlarged, since there will be lots of measures that you will have to take care, and you have to align in all hotels. It doesn't matter if they are managed or franchised, but still it needs to be aligned as a brand standard. So what's your plan with this department?
Well, brand standards, I think there are certain brand standards that will never change, but there's also certain brand standards that needs to be adapted. Instead of having, will the pen be on this side or that side, and will it be on the paper or beside on the desk or whatever when arrive, how do we meet and greet guests and whatever. I think it's going to be much more on health, safety, security, disinfectant. I think also it's very important the way, from a brand standard point of view, the communication. How do we convey the message? How do we enforce what we have been doing to take the right steps and the right measurements? I think also when it comes to, if you walk into a room, should your phone or your the remote control on the TV, should it be pre-packed in a contained plastic bag to prove that it's been disinfected and it's untouched? I think we're going back to certain things like this as well. I think there will be tests, surface checks, etc., to maintain that we maintain the cleanliness and disinfection. And I think again we go back to reporting to make sure that this surface is being cleaned at this time, and it's going to be enhanced disinfection guidelines and frequency of cleanliness and disinfectant.
Srdjan.
So two short remarks on this. One, when it comes to brand standards, we actually work with a company that uses people who travel for other business. So in addition to their business, they do the check as a kind of normal customer. So the team will not be really enlarged in that sense. But what are they checking for, as Olof was saying, is really an issue. I would say brand standard is a tree that has a lot of healthy apples and has a lot of apples that are pretty shaky if they really should be there. And this situation now shook this tree, and many of these apples are off. We took out all pens of all the rooms because they just need to be cleaned and people don't use them anyway, and no papers. And I think many of these things will need to be looked at once again. We are really looking into completely revamping customer journey and looking at things that truly matter. So I think this is an opportunity to shake a lot of rotten apples from the brand standards tree and leave a few nice shiny ones that people will enjoy eating, and take a lot of unnecessary stuff that is bothering everybody, including customers. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think we should come out of this with more meaningful standards that customers care about, not just those that are connected with health and safety, but also those that are connected with their
I think it's very important as well that we find, which I think is going to be a little bit difficult in the beginning, but I think it's very important that we find the balance between showing and enhancing the safety and security, but also creating this atmosphere, because we are still hotels, we are hospitality people. And I think this is going to be a very, very thin line in the beginning, where we actually can convey what is doing, because we don't want to be hospitals.
Yes, just true.
We want to maintain that great atmosphere and service and provide a great stay that everybody's expecting as well.
Yeah, that's nicely what you said. And last question for you, gentlemen, is until when you think that this new normal will last? And when we will come back to the old normal? What do you think? When it comes to the numbers, to the situations, to the traffic, to everything. What is your predictions within your companies?
Well, when you say new normal and old normal, I mean, if you're talking about business or you're talking about the way we operate, I think the new normal will always take over from the old normal from an operational point of view. Mm-hmm. I don't think we will ever go back to what we did before. And that is what Srdjan said as well. We change our brand standards, we change the way we operate, shaking down the apples that we don't need anymore. Mm-hmm. When we come back to the business pace from the commerciality point of view, I believe it will probably take 2 to 3 years.
Srdjan?
I agree. Operationally, I don't think we will ever come back to the old level, and I don't think we should. We hopefully will make a step to the next level and stay there. Business-wise, things I think are not going to come back in 2021 back to they were in 2019. So this will be a gradual way back. I think a lot depends also what will happen with the overall economy. Is this really going to trigger a relatively major or a major recession? And if that happens, then obviously it's anybody's guess. Having said that, we will survive. Our job is to ensure we adjust all our businesses and work with our colleagues. And what really keeps me not awake at night, I sleep well, but what makes me thinking is how do we utilize the talent of every single colleague that we have around our hotels and around our company, and how do we let them understand the direction that we want to take and allow them to take us there.
Thank you. Andrea, I think we are somewhere at the end of our panel. Is there any question at the moment?
We are out of the time, so we should move forward.
Sorry?
We are out of the time, so we should move forward.
Okay, yes, of course, I know. I was trying to do my best, but you know.
I know.
It's not easy. First of all, I have great panelists in front of me, and I'm very happy to be able to share their thinking, opinions, and ideas for all of us. Thank you, Srdjan, for joining us, and thank you Olof as well. I wish you all the best within your companies and to all your teams, and I wish you to recover faster than we think today. And also, I wish that to all of our audience today, our colleagues that are online Half Festival. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for joining us in this panel discussion. Thank you, Josipa, for moderating.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.